curious, analytical tone. When millions of people pray, they chant a specific phrase, Radhe Krishna. They intentionally place Radha's name first. Yet here is the paradox. Radha and Krishna never married. They never shared a home. In fact, they spent almost their entire lives completely separated. Their story begins with an idyllic early life together in Vrindavan, but that shared life is permanently severed the day Krishna departs for Mathura. Radha stayed in Vrindavan. Krishna stayed in Mathura. The two would never cross paths in their daily lives again. How does a connection survive complete physical absence? And what actually happens to the woman left behind in history's most famous love story? Krishna's departure from Vrindavan did not mark the end of their story. Instead, it triggered a rigorous spiritual test that would redefine what it means for two people to be united. Eventually, news reaches Vrindavan that Krishna has officially married Rukmini in Mathura, and subsequently, other queens join his royal household. By all conventional metrics, this is the breaking point. Society expects a woman without a legal title, stripped of physical proximity to the man she loves, to collapse under the weight of grief. This diagram tracks two distinct paths. Krishna's physical life branches into kingship and marriage, but the spiritual connection remains a single, unbroken line. Radha chose to ignore the branches and focus on the origin. She told the people of Vrindavan that while Krishna's body might belong to a queen, his soul was hers. She reinforced this daily, lighting lamps by the river Yamuna and humming the melodies he left behind. This shift in perspective turned love from an act of physical proximity into a state of internal possession. She had passed the first test by finding a way to own the connection without owning the person. Years pass. When a messenger from Krishna finally arrives in Vrindavan, Radha responds with no anger and makes no demands. She sends back exactly one instruction: tell him to play the flute. Miles away, Krishna receives the message and picks up his instrument. When he plays, the wind in Vrindavan stops entirely. It is a moment where the physical world reacts to a bond distance cannot weaken. The quiet of their separation is finally broken by a critical piece of news. Radha learns that Krishna is residing in the distant city of Dwarka, and he has fallen deeply ill. Without pausing to rest, Radha begins to walk. She pushes her aging physical body across miles of unforgiving terrain, relentlessly moving toward the coast until she reaches the gates of Dwarka. When Krishna sees her, he sits up. In this reunion, there are no words spoken, no complaints, no lingering questions. It is simply two halves of the exact same soul, quietly observing one another. Radha asks for one final favor. She wants to hear the flute one more time. Krishna plays, and as the melody fills the room, Radha closes her eyes, smiles, and takes her last breath. Her quiet death is not a tragedy about lost time or unfulfilled promises. It is the frictionless merging of two entities that, despite decades of geographic distance, had never actually been apart. The immediate consequence of her death is striking. Krishna sets down his flute and never picks it up again. He reasons since his sole audience is gone, there is no one left to play for. In this theology, Radha represents the feminine manifestation of Krishna's own soul. This diagram shows two rings merging back into one, symbolizing the return to a single divine entity. Reaching Goloka Dham, their souls permanently reunite, free from earthly illusion. This brings us back to the paradox we started with. Radha's devotion is exactly why she is never labeled his wife. That title is too restrictive. Her name is permanently spoken before his, because the tradition recognizes her as the source of his own strength. Radha's story demonstrates that true devotion is the highest dharma, a love entirely unburdened by ownership or even physical proximity remains the ultimate spiritual triumph.